Welcome back to Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Hub International. I'm Mark Haney, and I am joined by Dr. Grover Lee, entrepreneur and founder of Wise Villa Winery. How you doing, Dr. Grover?
I'm doing good,
Dr. Grover Lee.
Yes.
Now you're a doctor,
Yes.
but you're a winemaker.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of your background, real quick.
Okay. Major doctorate is clinical pharmacy, but that started with a PhD program in biochemistry that got me into that. And then I wanted some more medical component of that, so I went to a medical school, board certification in managed care medicine. And as I mentioned a few times to a few people, that's all about winemaking.
Ah, nice.
I mean, all that.
The pharmaceutical industry was great training for building this enormous winery, huh? Good to know.
Yeah.
How does it? Where's the intersection?
Well, the intersection is just Wise Villa Winery is just east of Lincoln, in the rolling foothills there at Garden Bar and Wise Road.
Okay, but it takes a lot of precision to make that wine. We'll talk about that. I know it takes a lot of precision to do the pharmaceutical stuff, and I know you've built other businesses as well. If there's time, we'll get into that. We only have a few minutes to talk, so let's talk about Wise Villa. That place is like one of the most beautiful places out there in Lincoln. It's a hidden gem. Describe the feeling that you get when you pull onto your property. I mean, it's enormous.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Europe. And so my whole winemaking life was sort of culminated in what the experience was in Europe, and what talking to winemakers and vineyard managers and so forth, adding a lot of science to some classic winemaking procedures, and getting that feel of Tuscany and getting the feel of some little villages in France, all over France.
Okay, so coming up there, Lauren and I went up there the other day, and we got that feeling. You see this huge set of grapevines, right? And then the Tuscan feel of the buildings. You walk in, you can have lunch, you can have, or dinner, I guess it is.
Yes.
And you can have events. A guy could get married there. A girl could get married there. So, I mean, describe to us what a typical event there might look like. I mean, is it all about wine drinking, or is it pairing it with food?
You know, you mentioned food. You mentioned the restaurant, the bistro. My experience in Europe was all based on wine is made for food. Food is made for wine. I mean, you could throw a beer in there, but
it's not just for guzzling at the end of the night. Okay.
It's really about. To me, it was all about having a wine that is very, very appropriate for food, and having a wine that is. Well, my wine, how it's made is, I'm in the 1 percentile of how wine is made worldwide. There's 99% of the world that makes wine a certain way, and there's 1% of the world that makes it the way I make it. Okay. And that is a very different process. A lot of the same principles happen in our organic vineyard management that we do. There's a lot of.
Sounds like a healthy way of making
very
wine.
Healthy way.
Okay, so I could get healthy.
Those doctor things in there.
Doctor approved. Is it doctor approved?
It's doctor approved.
Okay, so let's talk, Marcus, you got some of that wine there? Yeah. Marcus, why don't you pour wine while the doctor and I talk about it? And thinking out loud, wine's healthy for you?
Well,
it seems...
of course. You know, the American Medical Association says that a man should have 2 glasses of wine a day, and a woman 1 glass of wine. And I don't want to discriminate, but there's actually reasons for that. There's some alcohol dehydrogenase, less in women and so forth. But
very tasty.
But wine that is lower in sulfite means that it's probably a cleaner sorting process to get that lower sulfite requirement, because all the processes of making the wine, you have to test it and you add sulfites to it as needed. So instead of a normal bottle of 350 parts per million sulfites in wine, ours is more in that 50 range.
Okay, and so then the health benefit there is what, lower cardiovascular risk of disease there or something?
Yeah, well, you have a lot of people that have have some sensitivities to sulfites.
Oh.
And people talk about that all the time. They're talking about, well, if you have asthma, if you have allergies and lots of other conditions, the sulfite, you know, it's a lot better if you can have lower. But if you're making mass amounts of wines and you don't sort quite as carefully, then it's a little higher. Another thing that causes some problems with wine is like the tannins, the tannin levels of wines. Big red wines at tannins, if you aren't sorting very, very carefully what you're picking and how well you're sorting. We sort down to the individual grape berry. I mean, we actually we don't crush. We talk about crush, but we actually don't crush. It's a berry. So they're sorting down to the actual berry. And that kind of sorting gives you some very soft, wonderful tannins that because you don't have all the other garbage, and you have all the garbage, you need more sulfites. So if you do that right, you don't need the sulfites and you have softer tannins.
Well, sounds like I need to get over there for a full-blown training. So you have a great wine. My wife, I know, and her friends love your winery, and they love the experience. In fact, you know, it prompted me to get you on the show for a while now. We finally got you here, but I want to know about your business. You've had an extensive business background. You've had an entrepreneurial career you've been very successful. This business that you're building with Wise Villa, it's an award-winning wine, but it's more than that.
Yeah, award-winning wine. You know, people say that, and you think, well, everybody's award-winning wine. I mean, I've been to garages that are award-winning wines.
Okay.
You know, it's where do you get the award from? You know, I received an award from the governor in the governor's office in the state of California, from the based by the California State Fair of 3,000 some entries. There's only one winery in all of California that can get this award. That's called Golden State Winery of the Year.
And California, you got some pretty tough competition here. Sonoma, Napa Valley, and Amador. There's a great wine out there.
That's absolutely right.
You're over here in Lincoln. We got the #1.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. I know. And you know, I think about that all the time, thinking like, who ever heard of the Golden State Winery of the Year? I tell you who heard of it. The one winery that gets that award.
We know about it in Lincoln.
Thousands of other wineries, they don't talk about it. Why? Because they didn't get it.
You didn't talk about it. All right, let's talk about your business. So you grew the business. I mean, you're on. You got a ton of acreage. You've got more acreage near where you're at. So a lot of grapes, a lot of growth. Talk about building that business, because it's not just going into the winery. I can get this stuff if I go into where, Costco.
That's right. Yeah, you know, building a business to be successful, I always like to look at that if you're thinking about an entrepreneurial business, you have to figure out how much money you're going to make in the business. And then the whole process is, once you know that, then your job changes totally on two things: the customer and your product. Okay. So if you have the best service that possible, and your product is the best product that can be made, and you make sure that's all you focus on, and that is what you do. That is my job, is to have the best possible everything I do to make that product and the service to that customer. I don't have to worry about the money. I don't have to worry. I have to worry about making the best product and have the best possible service. The money will follow, but I have to know when I start how much money I'm going to make, and if I follow my plan, which is all based on the customer and the product.
Best possible customer experience, best possible product, best possible wine, and it's healthy. And beer's kind of healthy too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That's helpful for me, because we got a beer guy coming up after you. I've been known to sample beer a little bit more than wine, so we're going to be talking about that, talking about the health benefits. You know, I got a lot of habits. Beer sounds like it's one of my good ones now, huh?
Well,
good.
Okay. If I have just...
Yeah, we got 20 seconds.
20 seconds. The alcohol content, very, very important for wine. My alcohol content is much, much lower than most California wines.
Okay.
And that's also a health benefit, but is also a benefit for the product quality. and I could talk a lot more about that, but both the health benefits, the calories, and there's a bunch of other stuff that involves in that, and food. And
is it lower calorie?
Low
calorie,
absolutely.
low alcohol. Well, you had me at lower calorie, but low alcohol, I don't know about that. We'll check it out.
It'll make sense to you. It'll make sense.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the benefits of drinking beer, which is something that I have been looking for my entire life. And that's for, and again, I say that for all of you that are over 21, and be responsible and be safe. I'm just playing around, but drive safely. I'm not talking to you, Marcus. I'm not talking about. That's right. You call limitless limo. That's right.
You need to always remember: be smart and drink wise.
Wiseville Winery. I love it. When we return, we are going to be talking to Track 7 Brewing Company's Mr. Ryan Graham. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Kim Silvers HR. This is the Haney Biz Project.